Sarah.
I was just relaxing.
Relaxing.
You're doing great.
That's good. There was like nobody gonna be in the corner.
Our speaker, Sarah Garcia, comes to us today from Adelia Public Schools, where she has been a grant writer since 1998. Sarah, a native Minnesotan, grew up in South Branch, Minnesota, where as a youth, Sarah says, I learned some philosophical principles, including, if you are good, you will be assigned all the work. If you are really good, you will get out of it, and that psychiatrists say that 1 person out of 4 is mentally ill. Check 3 friends. If they're okay, you're it. Currently, Sarah is also a student in the St. Mary's University Master's Program. She is with us today to introduce us to one of our colleagues. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Garcia.
She has managed the twists in her life with a practiced hand. Like the Dairy Queen server she once was. You know, there is special training to making those sculptured loops on the top of the cones. But nothing could have prepared her for falling in love so early in her college career with that handsome young man that asked her to dance. But nearly 20 years later, they continue that hand-over-heart dance. Cherie Ekstrom, the only daughter of Wayne and Thelma Espy, grew up in Delano, the sister to 2 younger brothers. She journeyed to Mankato with a purpose to attend college and get her degree, which she later did, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Education, Elementary Education, and emphasis on social studies. But although she was drawn to education, she still confesses that she's enticed by medicine. She considered going into nursing as a vocation, mainly because she so enjoyed those years at working at the retirement home in high school and early college. She enjoys reading medical journals and biological research and topics of education and those things that are of personal interest to her. However, her primary vocation is teaching. She was a substitute in area schools for many years before receiving a full-time job in St. James. She's taught 2nd grade and 3rd grade, and currently has been in the 2nd grade class for 12 years, where she is the tallest girl. She loves teaching and finds it a very rewarding career. She also enjoys tending to her flower gardens, relaxing with a good book, and keeping herself fit and trim with aerobic exercises and weightlifting. She loves the idea that the rec center opened in Lake Crystal. But Cherie's true joy remains in her family. Like other twists on her own expectations, she found herself married, raising 4 daughters, ranging from age 3 to 18. They are her greatest accomplishment. Yet she insists on saying that they are a work in progress. They, her family, are the most important aspects to her world. They are the anchor that keeps her from drifting apart, the harbor that she comes home to, the ship that she takes her journeys in. But speaking of journeys, traveling is not just a metaphor to Cherie. She and her husband love to travel, and they travel extensively, and usually their children accompany them. They have roamed the western United States, walked in the deserts of the Southwest. They have enjoyed the beaches and the toys of California and Florida, and they have been to Missouri. and other exotic places like Aruba, St. Thomas, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. And she has a long list of excursions she still wants to take. And although she has made education her career, and the pursuit of her master's degree is very important to her, and she loves learning in places such as this, in classrooms and textbooks. She feels that the real learning that has shaped her life has been outside these walls, with examples and invitations from interaction with the people that she cares for. Learning through example. She remembers watching her parents work, and she remembers that they expected only her to try her best at the tasks that were given her. Her father taught industrial arts. He was a real estate agent. He worked as an auctioneer. And her mother, too, even though she had spent the greatest part of her time as a medical aide in a nursing home, she has had several vocations, especially in early part of their marriage. She was an employee for Honeywell, and she was a hairstylist. And it's watching her parents work and seeing the example that they have set that is ingrained in her, the work ethic that she takes with her throughout her day. These models of work ethic have created an example of the value of the small and large tasks alike. But like many of us, she's also been molded by the things she's heard, especially the stories her grandmother used to tell her, stories of when grandmother grew up, and stories of childhood of her own mothers. And these stories usually had a moral, or usually taught right or wrong, and usually Cherie took it to heart. Cherie's favorite things? Well, Chinese food, bright green and blue hues, sunshine, summer, the mountains, and time spent with her husband and her children. You see these choices reflected in her outlook of life. But in conclusion, to know Cherie, you only need to know her answer to one simple question. If you had to leave your home in a hurry, it's an emergency, and you know you can only take what you can carry with you, and what you leave behind will more likely be destroyed, what would you take? Well, Cherie would take cherished family photos, the things her children made for her and brought home from school or vacation Bible study. Small family heirlooms that have good memories attached to them. Anything that has the memories of her family time. Oh, and she'd take her family cat, of course. Because for Cherie, where the heart dances, it's the small things that carry the richest rhythm. Thank you.
Our speaker, Sarah Garcia, comes to us from Madelia, where she has been the Comprehensive School Reform Coordinator since 1998. As a grant writer, Sarah often has the opportunity to watch young children play. On one occasion, some children were playing school when a younger child joined them. One of the more outspoken tots turned to him and said, "You can't play school. You can't read or write. I'll tell you what, you be the principal. Sarah has joined us this evening at the school board meeting to outline staff development concerns. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Garcia.
Thank you for inviting me here tonight. As most of you know, in my capacity as Comprehensive School Reform Coordinator for the Medelia School District, I have been able to attend many workshops and seminars throughout Minnesota. And this has allowed me the opportunity to interact and network with many other school district personnel. In doing so, I realized that Medelia is facing some of the same obstacles as other schools in Minnesota, and we have very many similarities. One of those being our mobility index in the elementary. Now, our mobility index in the elementary is 30%. This means in any given year, 75 students move into that building and 75 students move out. Now, that's a very similar index to inner city St. Paul. Another example is look at our 1999 graduating class. Between 7th grade and their graduation date, 50 students moved in and out of that class. Only 82% of those graduating were actual classmates in their 7th grade year. And while Medelia is working to accommodate one ESL language, some of the schools in Minnesota have to accommodate 20 or 30 primary languages coming into their school district. What Medelia does not have in common with these schools that I have been discussing things with is that Medelia does not have a district-wide quality, effective staff development plan in place. You can see by some of the examples I've given you that we do have obstacles and problems within our district that could be combated by good quality staff development. But to begin our discussion, we must all agree on what staff development is. To do this, I'd like to read to you the definition used by the North Central Regional Educational Laboratory, or NCREL, in their 1999 Toolkit Professional Development, Learning from the Best. Professional development is a process of improving staff skills and competencies needed to produce outstanding educational results for students. The U.S. Education Department lists 10 specific principles of staff development and states it is evaluated ultimately on the basis of its impact on teacher effectiveness and student learning. And this assessment guides subsequent professional development efforts. In the past 10 months, Medelia Elementary has spent nearly $8,000 on in-house staff development focused on increasing reading performance by students. During this same time, the high school has spent no money on any in-house staff development for its staff. This year, the Medelia Elementary has spent $6,400 on workshops that should have been whole-day training sessions. Because staff development in our district is restricted to half-days, both these workshops needed to be condensed from 7 hours to 2.5 hours. But the cost to us remained the same. So this became a rate of $1,280 an hour. You can see by these two examples that we need to have a very focused district plan for staff development. To accomplish this, a needs assessment must be done. It must involve staff, It must involve administrators and community. And a district goal must be written to which staff development not only conforms, but which staff development supports. Such assessment must determine the gaps in student and in staff performance. And it must define what staff skills and competencies are necessary to close those gaps. Professional development must then assure an outcome which closes these gaps and increases student performance. This is best done by limiting professional staff development to proven methods such as best practices or strategies that are based in research and strategies that have documented outcomes. In addition, effective staff development cannot be accomplished without your support, Madelia School District support, in both time and in funding. While Madelia Elementary had the necessary funding to do high quality and effective staff development the past 2 years, the condensed workshops were less effective. The condensed workshops required that we were rushed, that we didn't have time for adequate discussion, that we didn't have time for good, solid feedback. I believe that Madelia should reinstate their September workshop day, and that Madelia School District should have a whole day workshop at this time. This would allow us to have a high-powered in-service at a time in the school where we can immediately implement changes, where teachers are enthusiastic, where we have time to work with the same students for several weeks. A full day workshop would allow time for the presentation, it would allow time for feedback, and we could have a structured processing time in which departments and grade levels can meet to devise ways of implementing these new strategies or using these new skills. This year, the elementary had a diagnostic and intervention workshop on reading. It was held in October. Now, this was a good time for the elementary because they had 9 days left in the quarter, but better than that, they had 3 quarters left in the year in which to work with those same students. Instructional changes could be made before the interruptions of MEA, Thanksgiving, and winter recess. September through October is the most stable time for implementing changes and new strategies in the classroom. This year, the high school had no in-house staff development until multiple intelligences hosted by the elementary staff was held in February. Usually, multiple intelligences by 10 Sigma is a whole day workshop. But again, because of our restricted staff development days in the district, this also had to be condensed. The high school did have time to implement changes in second semester, but because we use block times, a whole instructional year had passed for some students who could not benefit from this staff development. These examples reinforces the need for a structured, high-quality staff development based in effective practices early in each semester. I believe that a full day of staff development designed to support the district goals at the beginning of each term is important to be effective in high school. Half-day staff development the remaining months would be all right as long as it also supported the educational and professional goals of our district. However, I caution against using these half days as housekeeping units. If the workshop or the agenda of the day does not come out of student assessment, if the outcome of the workshop does not increase student performance, then it is not staff development. And while shared decision-making is a wonderful thing, and teacher task force that give us input on decisions in the district, such as the type of telephone system we buy, or whether or not we should increase the environment with a mural or other things in the district, is very important, and it should not be discontinued. It is not staff development. And if we need to make extra time for these things, then we must, but we must not label it as staff development. Third, we must evaluate what we offer as staff development. We can only do this if we have a goal in place of what it is we wish to accomplish. What gap in student performance are we trying to narrow? Did the staff development narrow that gap? To do this, we must have an assessment of how well the teachers have bought into the training and how well the teachers have implemented the changes. Has teaching improved? Has student learning improved? And are all students finding the same amount of success because of our staff development? Finally, we must use what we have learned to drive our decision-making in choosing follow-up staff development and for planning new staff development. Our yearly evaluation will become a new baseline. We must use this new baseline then to create a staff development plan which continues to narrow the learning gaps in student performance. Madelia School District School Board, you must take the lead in creating a district goal for staff development based in Madelia's educational goals. I ask that you make a commitment to improving our school by addressing this need. To further your efforts, I have brought each of you a copy of the Professional Development Toolkit. Section 1 will help you design our staff development team. Our team will then be able to use the remaining tools to create our plan. I ask that you examine this. In conclusion, I hope that next school year we will have an effective, quality, district-wide staff development plan in place. And at the next comprehensive school reform meeting that I attend, I can say, yes, Madelia School District does have an effective staff development plan in place.